2016 was a year the world was introduced to the alt-right and its rampant electoral success. Victories for Trump, Brexit, and almost in Austria surprised the establishment. In 2017, the establishment should prepare itself for another shock, but this time from the other end of the political spectrum. It's a loosely defined term that, in my opinion, describes a growing type of pragmatic new left-leaning party and movement. People that are more concerned with democracy than socialism. Pragmatism over ideology. They're not hippies or trustafarians with wishy-washy ideas of utopia. They're hackers and realists who want one thing above all else: direct democracy. This is how the Pirate Party in Iceland, which I paid a visit to late last year, operate. They're rooted in technology, hacktivism, democracy and socialism, the kind you'll find across most left-leaning parties in Europe. What you won't find in other socialist parties across Europe is a plan for winning again. The Pirates have just that, and with sensible ideas, they've even convinced centre-right parties to get on board with. We met with the Pirate Party's unofficial but de facto leader, Birgitta to talk more about direct democracy. What does direct democracy look like in Iceland under the rule of the Pirate Party?
So our ideal would be that the new constitution be implemented, because in it are constitutional bound direct democracy tools. Interesting aspect of the new constitution is that if a 2% petition for like a resolution, report, or the parliament do something, the parliament is bound to do that. If 10% wants to put forward a bill, they can. The parliament has to process the bill.
This is their main sell to the public. We'll give you power back if you put us in a position to hand it over. And it's working. The Pirate Party, which has only existed since 2012, is now the third biggest party in Iceland, with 10 out of 63 parliamentary seats and 14.5% of the vote.
Direct democracy is not about voting on everything. Nobody has the time to vote on everything and get deep knowledge about just about everything. But what people should have is the ability to vote for it and call for a referendum or call for changes when things are going wrong.
It's not just a hypothesis. Reykjavik City Council has a direct democracy system in place called Better Reykjavik, which is what the Pirate Party wants to roll out nationally. In essence, users sign up to the platform with their government IDs, they're given a budget to spend on city projects and they allocate it accordingly. Its founder Robert showed us how it works.
So, and that's actually the voting interface.
Okay.
So people come to the neighborhood and they can select and they can choose which idea they want to have built in the neighborhood. So it teaches people about how much things cost to build.
Yeah.
You know, for example, a lot of people are quite surprised when you tell them a bench, park bench, costs like 3 million.
Yeah.
You know, people just bet, oh, you just put it there.
Yeah.
But actually, no, you have to do all the groundwork. You have to make sure it doesn't, sink into the ground.
And the City Council, they do take these on board. They work with this platform actively.
Absolutely.
And you've had proposals that have been enacted via this platform.
This is a binding vote. So it's not like
this is a binding vote.
Yeah,
so once this is voted for, the council then has to take it seriously.
Has to take it, yeah. And
Okay.
it's not like some poll about we just want to think a little bit what you think.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like it's a binding vote. It's sort of direct democracy, but in a very sort of structured way.
Like the Pirates, Denmark's recently successful The Alternative Party has notions of direct democracy. They also have close links to the Pirate Party, which isn't surprising given that they share similar radical ideas. But the Alternative's clownish reputation, something that they're aware of and play up to, has made it hard for their direct democracy ideas to be taken seriously.
Vi blev kaldt klovne, gøjlere og fantaster. Og hvis det er det, der skal til for at få vores bæredygtige politik ud over rampen, så er det helt ok med os.
Is that reputation justified? Are they a serious party or government or just a political meme? I travelled to Denmark to find out. How does it actually work practically in terms of dealing with thousands of people with lots of different ideas and turning that into a platform for a party?
First of all, it's important to say it's not just for members. Okay. When we do something, everybody can show up. Members of other parties, people who are not members of anything. And we're doing policy in what we call political laboratories, which means it's not one event that we go there, we decide on policy. No, it's a way of doing series of workshops. In a way, we're just being inspired of what so many people are doing with crowdsourcing, both in private companies or in organizations around. We're just saying, let's do this in policy, actually inviting people in to come.
Effectively, you still have to say, yes, we agree with that, no, we don't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand the concept of what you're saying when you get lots of people together to participate in democracy, but that ratification process provides a barrier, doesn't it? If you can just say no at the end of it, then that sort of defeats that purpose almost.
No, because there has to be some kind of ratification where we say, okay, is this against some other part of the political program? Then we have to take that into consideration. If we say yes to this, it means no to something else we have decided. And that's actually what the forum is doing. That's why it's not where we don't develop policy in the political forum, we ratify it.
Whilst the Pirate Party and the Alternative share similar ideas about direct democracy, the Alternative's goals and ideas seem slightly more scattergun than the Pirates. They want to mix politics, business, media, protest and technology into one single organisation that will also run a government. The enthusiasm's there, but perhaps not the focus. Earlier, we spoke to some constituents, just walked around and spoke to some people. And one lady said to us that she's obviously aware of the Alternative. She says they're very popular, but also at the same time, she had no idea about the political laboratories. She'd not heard of them at all. Why do you think that is? Because that's a core part of what your party does. Why do you think she had not heard of that core part of it?
The media. It's pretty hard to get through the media. They tell one side of the story, and that's the side of the story they're interested in. In the beginning, it was really big. There's this saying that we don't have any politics, that we don't have any political programs. And that was because we didn't at the time we would get started. But since we presented our first political program with 60 different political ideas, I think it was, that's a massive political program compared to the rest of the parties.
Do you think you failed then in some respect in terms of getting that part of your message out? If that part of your message hasn't got out, then something's gone wrong along the line.
We have a big and ambitious project. We can't get all the messages out at once. But yeah, we have a problem. That's why we started our own media platform, because we have a problem. We want to tell a story that the media doesn't want. So what can you do? You can start your own media platform and try to tell it there, and hopefully people will recognize it.
Closer to my home, a small earthquake in southwest England has banished party politics to the history books. The Independents for Froome is a small ragtag group of normal people of varying political beliefs who currently run the Froome Council. In 2015, all 17 candidates won their respective wards and now fully control the council, expelling the long-governing previous Liberal Democrat administration. So I'm on the way to meet Peter McFadden, who is the founder of Independents for Froome and also ex-mayor and writer of Flat Pack Democracy, to talk a bit more about the independent movement here in Froome and find out how exactly it's worked and how it's affecting local residents.
It's more democratic essentially in that we're just a group of individuals representing the views and needs of people in Froome. So we're not tied to anyone else or any concerns outside of Froome. And one of the things that we said we'd do right from the beginning, and we have done, is to open up the whole system much more, make it much easier to access. So the language, the way that people can come to our meetings, an openness was introduced.
Like the Pirates and the Alternative, the Independents for Froome have transparency, pragmatism and most importantly direct democracy at the core of their values. The electorate is invited to participate in all council decisions, with open town hall discussions held regularly, and councillors are also encouraged to admit that they're wrong.
There's definitely more involvement. A lot of it, I would say, is politics with a small p. People wouldn't think of themselves as being involved in politics. For instance, we have a real accommodation and housing need in Froome, as well as elsewhere in the country. And there's a group who started recently who are looking to raise money to buy houses in which to enable temporary housing to happen. So as a private initiative. Now, I don't think any of the people running that would describe themselves as politicians or would say they're doing politics. I mean, to me, it's absolutely politics. It's values-based politics as opposed to ideology.
From the people and parties I've spoken to, it's not the left-wing agenda that has won the electorate over and delivered power to these movements. It's the pragmatism, the common sense, the insistence on listening and involving as many people as possible from every end of the political spectrum. This in turn creates better policy and smashes through echo chambers, all of which is underpinned by the promise of direct democracy. But not in the classical sense. This is direct democracy for 2017, a less aggressive form that invites the public to make a policy and hands power to call legally binding referendums to the public. If it works and politicians become merely conduits for the people rather than decision-making elites, then these parties could theoretically never leave power. That's not good news for the establishment, and it won't go without a fight. When I interviewed Santiago Siri about his attempts to take power back in Argentina with a liquid democracy concept, the establishment lashed out. He claims he was followed and threatened by Argentine security services, and ultimately he felt like he had to flee the country. This will probably happen elsewhere. If it works, however, we could see a wave of new politics sweep the world, especially if the far right fails to deliver. Is this the end game? Will this stop the powerful, deceiving electorate to line their own pockets? Let us know what you think in the comments. I've been Jay McGregor, this has been Point. Please don't forget to subscribe and like our pages.